I didn't want to spend the whole deployment too scared to do this job while counting on someone else to do it and possibly get injured in my place. I'm Christopher Groleau. I was a cavalry scout in the active army. I graduated high school in 2009. I always kind of told my parents, like, you're going to go to college and get a degree, and like that was it. My dad's a financial planner and was doing college financial planning too at the same time. My mom's a teacher, so that was just what you do, is you go to college. I went to University of Dayton for a year. I started out in mechanical engineering. Found out that I am not that great at like thermodynamics. Kind of had like an existential crisis for like a year. I looked at a bunch of different things. I was thinking about joining like the Peace Corps, like AmeriCorps. Ultimately, I kind of decided on joining the military. Thought about like Marines versus the Army, and I was like, I am not crazy enough to join the Marines. So I was like, all right, I want to join the Army. I got sent to Fort Lewis, Washington, but we didn't really have a lot of time. We were just like getting ready to go and like packing stuff up. We all just kind of had to learn when we got to Afghanistan anyways. So we were in Arghandab Valley in Zari. So that's like the breadbasket of Afghanistan. What we didn't know when we got there was that you had to have a minesweeper for like every platoon, like going out in front of the platoon, because they would bury a lot of pressure plate IEDs. They needed people to be minesweepers. I didn't want to spend the whole deployment too scared to do this job while counting on someone else to do it and possibly get injured in my place. And I also did not want to be bored, and I thought it would be exciting. So that's why I volunteered for it. Half being an idiot and half wanting to, I guess, do my part. Definitely one of the worst parts of Afghanistan at that point. It was like that valley saw by far the most action of the country. And like while we were like getting out of our trucks, there was already someone over somewhere else that was in contact, like getting shot at. Found an IED, you get like a metal hit or something that you think could be a pressure plate or whatever. You stop the platoon, you like get down on your knees and you pull out something to like kind of dig in the dirt a bit and see if there's a pressure plate there. And if there's not, you move on. If there is, then like the Afghan soldiers would kind of dig it out of the ground for you, or you could call EOD. I don't remember how many we found in that village, but it was just super tense because it was a big area. The next day, getting ready to leave out, then we just heard an explosion. They didn't hear anything over the radio, so like shit, that's probably someone got hit. So someone in our second platoon stepped on an IED. I asked my section sergeant like what happened. He said that like a triple amputee. I just remember I was like just like crying silently in the back on the ride home. The scary thing about being a minesweeper is not necessarily that like I might blow up. It's just that I always have to make the decision whether or not to investigate it. So I'm just constantly deciding, I don't think that's a threat, I don't think that's a threat, like 99% of the time, and knowing that it could blow up someone behind me, which is just incredibly stressful. The only way to like kind of get past that was like just to be like aggression. It's like aggression can like surpass like any other emotion. It's a very strange experience to just feel yourself, or for me feeling myself turn into someone else that I never thought I would. It was like without my permission. I told my platoon leader at one point, I was like, sir, I think I'm like starting to go a little crazy. I didn't get the reaction I wanted or whatever. He's like, hope that someone shoots an RPG at you or whatever. I was like, oh, you're there too, great. There was always like someone that was assigned to me that was like right behind me, not with like proper spacing, that was like watching, in front for me. So a lot of the times that was like Sergeant Billings. He was definitely the one who was I felt like the most safe with, because he was not really worried about getting hurt from being close to the minesweeper. He was just more concerned about like taking care of me and watching out. And it was like maybe 2 weeks before I was slated to go home. We're all just actually starting to kind of relax because like nothing was really happening. And they went out on like some mission to retrieve a camera. Then they ended up rolling over an IED, like a really big one. The commander called the whole troop in the hallway. So they let us know that Sergeant Billings had died in the hospital from damage to his lungs and other stuff. It's like the air and the life just gets sucked out of the room. It was just no one said a word, and we all just left to go deal with it in our own ways. There was a point on deployment where I had given up the idea of coming home. And that, in some way made it a lot easier to do my job because I didn't have to worry about surviving. My purpose is just to make sure everyone else gets home and I will die at some point. And then to have that taken away from me, that someone else I cared about be killed instead. Didn't really know how to deal with it. So that followed me for a long time. So the Lionhearted project for me, I love the idea because it's a representation of all the stories that we have to tell together, and me getting to tell my one part of the story that can help represent everyone else that has similar experiences and show the veterans can be heard in a way rather than just blanket statements of oh, veterans with PTSD or whatever it is. It's at the end of the day, those are all very individual stories to specific people with their own experiences and ideas, but at the same time have so much in common with each other. That's a big deal to me. Making veterans accessible as human beings is just something I'm honored to be a part of.